This is a tutorial for Unreal Editor 2 for the original Unreal Tournament Game of the Year edition. In this video, we will cover teleporters. Let's start with the easiest teleporter that you can do. You come into the Actor class browser as usual, navigation point, teleporter, and then visible teleporter. So if you come here, you right click, there it is. The animation is done, the skin is done. All you need are two of these teleporters. One for where you enter, and then the second one, which is the destination of this teleporter. So let me just delete this one because I've already made one. Here is the first teleporter, and there's only two things you need to do in the properties. So you right click, go to Properties. Here under Teleporter URL, this is the first tag. This is called Visible 1. I just called it that. And then in the event, you need a tag, and it's Visible 2. So notice that they're different, and notice that this one has a tag of Visible 2, but a URL of Visible 1. Now let me show you the second part of it. I just moved it way up here for fun. Right click, Properties. This URL is Visible 2. If you recall, that was the tag of the other one. And here you go to Events, Tag, Visible 1. So all I did was I swapped those two values. And that's all you need to do. You now have a functioning pair of teleporters. So here's the first one on the ground. You come in, you're up top. Then you hit it again, and you're back on the bottom. That's it. So that is the easiest way to make a teleporter, but there's one tip that I would share with you, which is, you see how this teleporter is just in the middle. That means that a player can approach this teleporter from any direction, and you see that's going to affect the direction that you come out. As you recall, the first time I did it, I landed right in front of the sniper rifle, but this time I landed in the opposite corner. What I would recommend is you put this into a, like a corner, or not a corner, but like an alleyway or something, so that there's only one way the player can approach that teleporter. And this way you can control, by experimenting with it, you can control the direction that the player is facing when they get out on the other side. And how you adjust is by clicking on that teleporter. Then you come up here to this gray toolbar in whatever window you're working with, and you go Actors, Radii View. And that's how you're able to see the direction of that teleporter. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to experiment and adjust simply by clicking on this. Control right click. See how you can rotate that teleporter. So you'll need to do a little bit of experimentation to make sure that you have the teleporter facing the right way. Try it out in game with your own player, and then make sure you've adjusted both teleporters so that they're facing the right way that you want. That's the first teleporter. The second teleporter takes a little bit more work, but then it enables you to just do one directional teleporters, whereas this one pretty much necessitates that you have sort of both a bidirectional teleporter, because you have this visible thing here. So the second one is you go into the Actor class browser, navigation point, and you take this teleporter instead of the visible one. And when you right click, you'll see that the icon is different. that's what it looks like. However, this is not visible at all in the game. So this will allow you to have two of these teleporters, one with a mesh and then the second one with no mesh, so that the player jumps out and then they just continue on their way, but there's no way to come back to their original point. So this is the second method. So to make this visible, I'm just going to delete this one because I already have made one made. I like to take this prop, really you can take anything at all, but you come into actor, decoration, UT decoration barrel. So there's the barrel there. And now this has a mesh and a display already. So now you're going to change a whole bunch of things to make it look cool. So first, collision. Right now this collides with players, it collides with bullets and everything. All these have to be false. So now this will not collide with anything. Next thing, you go into display. Here it says draw type is a mesh, but now you want to change that to a sprite. Now it's gone. Then over here under style, this is a normal style, but now you want to change this to translucent, which means once I put the texture on it, you'll be able to sort of see through it. And then here you just change your texture. So you click on the ellipsis. Let's just start with, there's a bunch of different ones, but let's just start with space FX. And let's just take, I don't know, let's just take this one for now. It's called Worm 3D, I think. And then you come here and choose that one. And there it is. And now if I put it in real-time preview, you can see that it's actually animated, translucent, and in the game you'll see that the player's not blocked. So you will need to probably change the display scale. Right now it's only at 0.25. Let's make it 0.5 so it's a bit bigger. There it is on the ground there, so we're good to go. And this is going to be the texture for the teleporter, and I'll show you. Let me just delete this because we don't need this anymore. So I have the barrel, which is this, has been transformed into a red flare thing, and there's that teleporter. And this teleporter, if I can select it for you, works just like the other one that I showed you. You need a URL, and since it's only a one-directional, you don't need to have a tag here for this one, because this is just going to go to the second teleporter, which is called beam. So all you need to do is put another teleporter on the ground here and call this one beam in the event tag, and that would be it. That's all you need to do. So that would be the second method. Slightly more work than the first method, but you control everything now. You control the display and the fact that it's one directional, and you can, you know, add a sound to it if you wanted to. You could do a lot of stuff. Now I'm going to show you the third version of the teleporter, which is highly experimental, and it's going to be frustrating for you because you're going to need to do a lot of trial and error to make sure it works. In a previous tutorial, I showed you how to make a warping velocity tube here. This is a tunnel that I built that was 2048 units long, and you see it's hollow. And the trick is that it has a zone info inside with a velocity. So I put a velocity of plus 2000. And as you recall, I used a zone portals to completely seal this off. So as you can see, this is a different color from the outside. So you have a completely sealed off tunnel right here, and inside the tunnel the velocity is 2000. So that a player would come in here and they would basically shoot through this tunnel and come out the other way. But this is pretty ugly because now I have this ugly, 2000 unit square tunnel in the middle of my map. That doesn't look good. So this is version 3 of the teleporter. What's going to happen now is that the player will hit this teleporter, teleport into the velocity tube, and then come out and then end up here. And this way you don't need to have this long tube in your map because I put it outside. And let me just show you here. It's completely outside of the map. The players won't see this. So here you can build your tunnel. It's hard to see because there's no lighting, but you can see there's a tunnel here. And inside I have my zone info with the velocity. In this case it's y directional, so it's 2000 in the y direction. And this here is the destination of that other teleporter that I showed you. So if I come up to here, there's your beam. So the teleporter was inside the map. It's going to teleport you to this room here, which is of course completely sealed off. It's a different color from everything else, so it's a completely different zone. It's going to shoot you down this tunnel, and when you get to the end of the tunnel, there's the teleporter to teleport you back into the map. So this is another teleporter, and this URL is called beam 2. And now let me show you where beam 2 is. It's over here. The tag is beam 2. So it's a lot of work to do this and a lot of frustration, but it's just kind of a cool effect that you can do. And of course you'd probably make this look like some psychedelic dimensional portal room, and then when they come through here they're going to hit this teleporter, shoot through that velocity tube, and then boom, find themselves outside. So let's take a look at that in the game. And like I mentioned, you have to control the architecture so that the player can only approach your teleporter from one direction. This is how you control the whole behavior and the experience of the player. Because if I allowed the player to come at that red thing from a different angle, then they won't be facing when they get inside the warp tunnel, they won't be facing the right direction, and then it's going to get a little bit buggy. So I've done everything, all the adjustments, and there you go. So I've come from here and jumped out. So it's kind of a cool little warpy thing for your players. So just a quick recap, if you just need a pair of visible teleporters where they teleport back to each other, back and forth, then use this one, the visible teleporter. If you want to do more funky things, I recommend use this one, which is the regular teleporter. Always remember that you need 2 teleporters. One, which is the entry point, that's where you have to enter in the URL, and the second one, which is the destination, and that one you have to change the event tag, which will match the URL of the first one. That's all you need.